Hey, what's up, fellas? How you doing? Man, it's Anelli here.
El Jefe, the King, the Godfather, the Alpha Male. I feel like I'm watching Narcos. Like, I'm waiting for Pablo Escobar to come out. More information on the Houston Astros sign-stealing saga, whatever we're going to call it, 2017. The Athletic, they just put another article out. Apparently, they were able to interview 6 members of that 2017 Astros team that were unnamed. And they gave some pretty interesting information on Carlos Beltran. By the way, I just realized I never did my patented opening. I've never started one of these without... Hold on, let me start over again. Hey, what's going on, guys? How we doing? Matt Antonelli here. Okay, now we can officially begin. So, Carlos Beltran. We have talked Carlos Beltran a handful of times. Way back when this whole first thing started, we made a video about Alex Cora and Carlos Beltran and how they were kind of the two masterminds behind this whole thing. We talked about the London series with the Red Sox and the Yankees and how Cora was calling out Beltran. Now the Red Sox had to clean up their details and all that stuff. So there's been a lot of talk about Beltran, but this is kind of the first time where we have information from players on that team describing exactly what type of role Beltran was playing, how he was viewed inside the clubhouse. And this is pretty interesting stuff. So I took a bunch of notes here. And the other thing is I just made a video about Hinch, about AJ Hinch in his interview and how he was talking about he didn't have the confidence to say something. He didn't have the confidence. Now this gets more interesting now because after we talk about Beltran and how he was basically running things, I feel like part of the whole confidence thing now is AJ Hinch not standing up to Carlos Beltran, which is crazy to think. But apparently, like, Beltran ran stuff in this clubhouse and on this team. So let's talk about it, okay? So first off, Brian McCann, veteran player, right? Played with the Braves, played with a bunch of teams, played with the Yankees, played with Beltran in New York and also in Houston. He said that he asked, or it is known now through players, that he had asked Carlos Beltran in 2017 to knock it off, to stop pushing the sign-stealing stuff, okay? And apparently Beltran said no, okay? And this is according to 2 of the members of the 2017 team. And they said that he basically just steamrolled everybody. Those were the exact words. He steamrolled everybody. So apparently Carlos, at this point in time, he's 40 years old. He's been in the big leagues for 20 years. And he wants a World Series, and he wants it bad. And he basically said, listen, this is what we're doing, fellas. We're doing this thing. We're stealing signs. I don't care how we do it. We're winning a World Series. And they did. They won a World Series. He ended up retiring after this season. So he finally went out with a World Series championship. So I guess it worked. Pretty good job there by Carlos. Here are some of the words. I said it earlier, but here are some of the words to describe Beltran used by those 6 members of the Astros that talked with the Athletic. They called him El Jefe. They called him the Godfather. They called him the King. They called him the Alpha Male in the room or in the building. Okay, so that Houston Astros team, we talked about this in the last video, had a lot of young players. Had a lot of guys that had been drafted by the team, by the organization, had moved up into the big leagues together. It was a young group. It was a young manager. AJ Hinch was 40, I think he was 42, right around 42-ish at the time. So you have Carlos Beltran, who's only 2 years younger than the manager. For a lot of the players, he probably felt more like a manager or as at least a coach than he did a player. At this point in time, he wasn't playing a whole lot. He was seen as more just a veteran guy in the clubhouse. And so it's probably very tough for young players to stand up to Carlos if they didn't feel like things were right, if they didn't want to be a part of sign stealing. Probably, it sounds like it was very difficult to stand up to this guy. Brian McCann, a veteran player, a guy that at this point was probably in his high 30s, was probably just a little bit younger than Carlos Beltran, someone that had played with him. So I'm assuming somebody that knew him very well, and I'm also assuming that Carlos Beltran had respect for Brian McCann. You would think it's a veteran player that had been with him for a while, and had been on a lot of successful teams. And McCann tries to talk to Beltran, and Beltran says, like, beat it, geek. He didn't say that exactly, but basically, like, just be quiet. We're going to do what we're going to do here, or I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And again, in the words of other players on his team, he steamrolled everybody. Didn't say he steamrolled the young guys or steamrolled a couple of guys. He steamrolled everybody. And that sounds like he probably even steamrolled the coaching staff and possibly even the manager. So this is really interesting stuff. Again, we already had an idea when Commissioner Manfred came out and named Beltran in his report. And he did say that he was a large part of it, right? He was the only player that he named in that report. But he didn't really get into details. And this is getting into details from players on the team, which I find even more interesting. So, again, we're never going to know exactly. Well, maybe we will. More and more players are coming out and talking, especially to The Athletic. But we're getting more and more details, and we're getting a really nice glimpse into what the clubhouse was like. And it sounds like Carlos Beltran was the guy running things there. So, and the crazy part is, I know he lost his job with the Mets, but still, he can't be really disciplined at all. He's not going to be disciplined by the league again because he was a player at the time, and no players are getting disciplined. So, I don't know if he's ever going to. I don't think he's probably ever going to have a chance to manage. So even though he hasn't been suspended, it basically seems like he isn't going to be involved with a major league club for at least quite some time, and maybe not ever. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I wanted to shoot this out there because it's new info, and this whole story is really interesting to me, as well as I think a lot of people around the country. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel, share the video with all your friends, all that good stuff. And we'll talk to you later.